my question to you is, so how did this come about, Father Vincent?
The statue of St. Vincent de Paul came about because I suggested to our new Archabbot, Abbot Martin, that we might want to consider doing something special for our 175th anniversary, the anniversary of our foundation as a monastery. He asked me what I had in mind, and I said, well, you know, in the Abbey Church, we have 8 images of our Holy Father, St. Benedict, but we have only one of our patron saints, St. Vincent de Paul, and it happens to be in a window in the choir area, the monastic choir area, which most people don't enter, and therefore they don't see that one image of Vincent de Paul. And I said, he's been our patron and our protector for 175 years, and maybe we should do something to honor him during this time. And then I went on to suggest that perhaps we could consider a sculpture of him to add to the church. Then the question came about, where would that go? And I said, well, we could create a very nice niche out of one of the arched passageways that lead into the side entrance areas, and that would, in some way, be a mirrored reflection of what we've done for our Blessed Mother on the other side. And so I did a rendering for him of what that might look like. And then he asked me to do a proposal for what a sculpture might look like. So what I did is I researched online the various sculptures that have been made about St. Vincent de Paul, and most of them fell into the same kind of imagery. He's featured with a child, or more than one child, or helping a beggar, or something like that. So I decided to look at a number of sculptures that I liked, and then what I did in Photoshop is I cropped out different pieces of them, and I put them together to create one new piece, and morphed them together. You know, using various filters in Photoshop. And it turned out to be a rather convincing looking piece of virtual sculpture, you might say. So I showed that to the abbot, and he presented it to the community. And we got some reactions, and I made certain adjustments. And then the next step was to figure out how we would get this done. So I chose to approach 3 different sculptors, 2 in the United States and 1 in Italy. And I offered them the opportunity to provide us with proposals for what they would do. And after reviewing all of them, I decided to recommend the artist in Italy. I had not met him in person, but I had good email communication with him. And I also was impressed with their website. All of the other statues we have in the church are done in white Carrara marble. So the thought was, well, maybe we should do St. Vincent de Paul in white Carrara marble as well. So I asked them to base their proposal on that. Well, the cost for doing that proved to be astronomical and more than we could afford. And then I thought, you know, maybe it would be a good idea to do Vincent de Paul in wood. Wood is a more humble material. It's a warmer material. And it might convey the image that we want to propose of St. Vincent, of being a warm, approachable saint. So I then asked these artists to offer a proposal for doing it in wood. And the one in Italy again came back offering the most attractive proposal, but also based on what I saw on their website, I felt that they would do a good job. And that proved to be true, not only in the end result, but in the process of working through this, because their communication with me was very good. We would communicate back and forth on a regular basis. I would explain my concerns. I showed them my proposal. They first did a 30-inch rendering of my proposal in clay. My response to them was, could you give him a more warm and loving expression? Because that's how I envision St. Vincent de Paul. Although he's understood to be notoriously homely, but that doesn't mean he can't be warm and inviting. And then I made some comments about they're not quite interpreting the flow of the garments the way I was trying to express them, and they made those changes. And then I asked them if they would keep me informed of their progress with pictures on a regular basis, which they did, beginning with their initial attempt to block in the piece. So the first picture we got was of it almost looked like a cubist version of St. Vincent de Paul, but it had the basic forms there in block forms. And then the next picture was the first attempt to carve some of these images. And they continued to send us these images, these pictures, and I kept the community informed. When the piece was done, they sent me the final picture, which I shared with the community. And then began the process of transporting it to this country. And that meant that on their part, on their side, they had to pack it very well, which they did. And it had to go from Italy to here. And they made it sound like it was going to be an easy process, but really, in the end, it got to be quite challenging because when it got to this country in New York, customs required a lot from us in terms of our proving what it was, that it was truly for a church, and what its value was, and so on. And then when they released it and they sent it to Pittsburgh, we had to get it picked up at the Pittsburgh airport. And we were able to get a local driver to do that. And that turned out to be very well. And then it finally arrived. It arrived outside the front entrance of the parish hall. And we unpacked it.
Yeah, I think we don't need him now. Just watch that plywood so you don't. Well,
there's some on the bottom. Here. This will have
how did this? Oh, they screwed it in blocks.
it's screwed in this way. Down here.
2, 3. On his back. Don't grab him by the head. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Chuck. There you go. Got him, Chuck? Yep, go ahead. Right? Finger in there, Chuck.
Man, you got lots of room now.
And moved it in to the parish center. We did not want to put it in place right away because we wanted to keep it concealed until its dedication, which was going to be on his feast day, our patronal feast, September 27th. In the meantime, it was kept in the pastor's office. The pastor grew very attached to it and was at first not willing to let it go when we wanted to move it into the church. Well, we told him he could visit it anytime he wanted to, so he was okay with that. So our grounds crew here very carefully moved it into the church. Our in-house electrician provided the new lighting. One of our parishioners, Dr. Anthony de Meza, executed the design they had done for the base. So we all took a personal pride in bringing it together, and we had a lovely celebration of dedication. On the vigil of his feast, the abbot presided, and so many of the parishioners attended.
We offer this statue to your greater honor and glory, and we ask you to bless it in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
So it was a very gratifying process, and now he sits at the entrance to our church to remind everyone that he has been our patron and guide for all these years.